Hi, I'm out of darts. So that happened, and I couldn't be more excited. There are 4 new blasters, which is awesome. This is only my second year really into the sport, or the hobby anyway, and it's exciting to see these new things coming, and it seems like Hasbro is not slowing down. And I would love to talk about all of them, but since that's not normally what my channel is and what I do, I did think I would at least talk about the rival blaster, the Khaos. It's super exciting for me because it's obviously the next step of having a full auto blaster in the rival line. And we knew that was coming. It seems pretty obvious. They just probably wanted to release their sort of flagship blaster at a later date. I would expect this year we also see a lower end blaster, maybe a single shot manual load or something, but that would only make sense, and I feel like we sort of started in the middle of the line and now we're getting the rest of the spectrum. So anyway, let's get down to it. All right, so this is the Nerf Khaos MXVI 4000. And obviously 4000, much like my other mods, it's 40 balls. Now, I'm really excited about this, obviously because it's rival, but I'm excited about everything in general. All the other blasters are just as cool, but I thought I'd talk about this one specifically because I'm so into rival specifically. Obviously we've got the 6D batteries. I'm guessing that's all about amperage. They just are going to pull more. I wouldn't be surprised if we see different motors in here, or potentially, since we know the performance is better on overvolted motors, I wouldn't be surprised if they just let the current flow a little better, perhaps better wiring. Either way, from a mod perspective, we're going to dump all of that and just go straight to a LiPo, because 6D size batteries in here is just absurd and it's going to be really, really heavy. The first thing I noticed when I saw this blaster is it's enormous. It may not look it, but if you start doing the math of this is a 0.9 inch ball, this is way longer than the other blasters, and that's a little easier to see on the full size here. So I think it's going to be really beefy, and in its stock form with the D batteries, obviously it's going to be enormously heavy. The part I'm most excited to see is how this actually functions up in here. One thing I kind of did was just to see where does 40 balls end up, and we can see it ends up just below the chamber here. This is 10, 10, 10, and 10. Now, I would hazard a guess that these work one column at a time. So one column will go, the next column will go, the third column will go, the fourth column will go. It's the only way that makes sense that would possibly be easy to feed without some sort of crazy belt drive. And I wouldn't be surprised if we either see a pusher motor in here that actually moves back as it pushes, or more likely, maybe even a spinner of some sort. The other thing I'm noticing here and seeing is that if these balls end up here near the jam door, I'm going to guess that our flywheels are actually much further forward than they are in the other blaster. I wouldn't be surprised if we're sort of looking at them maybe right in this area, versus we know in the other ones they're sort of maybe centered. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say and speculate, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're a little farther forward. So if our balls end up stopping somewhere in here, there could be a little spinner that's pushing them forward here, or it could be a traditional pusher more like the Rapid Strike. Now, I could see all of these feeding, and then at the end of that I could see some sort of clutch that hits up here, allows the second tube to feed. So that's my guess at this point, but you know what? It's all huge speculation, because one of the biggest things I've noticed with this mock-up is that this is truly a mock-up. This is not a picture of a real blaster. And I would say that's probably true with all of them, but this definitely came from a photo, I would say, because this line is not level here, so we're seeing some pincushion distortion from a lens. And you can see this is actually sort of pointing down. And so it's probably partial photos, but I think there's some nonsense probably going on, and I would bet that this magazine is nowhere near final. Of course, we'll see when it comes out. I could be totally wrong. One thing you can definitely notice is if you look at the other blasters that came out, they are clearly, like the Mastodon, they are clearly just a comp or a mock-up. They're not a picture, whereas this, I guess, is probably actually from a photo at least. The other ones are totally flat and look like they've been painted in. So right off the bat, I think the biggest mods with this are going to be to rewire everything, replace the micro switches, because presumably there's no mechanical linkage here, and these are both micro switches. my biggest hope is that this magazine is useful in more than one way. I'm hoping that there's a way to adapt it to use it for other purposes, because designing something like this, even for me with a 3D printer and a lot of time on my hands, is really hard. And it's not something you're going to be able to do easily, and it's not something that most people are going to want to deal with. Other things I could definitely see happening right off the bat is if this shoulder stock isn't comfortable, I could see easily cutting this down probably right away, because you're going to have more than enough space in here. Though currently the Rival line has been really great, and I love the feel of the Zeus in my arms and the distance. Another thing I've noticed is that I feel like the Zeus here has the perfect distance between the grip and the shoulder stock, but on this new blaster, it looks like it's less. Now it's hard to totally tell scale-wise without cloning these balls and using that as a guide, but I would hazard to guess that this is 2 inches or more shorter, so it might actually be a little more stubby, but the blaster itself is obviously much longer. That's about all I have it now. I'm guessing there's also a different hop up here, and overall I'm just really thrilled. The only thing I can complain about is $70 is a lot for a toy. But obviously I will be getting this the second it comes out. It will be my first priority to mod this and do whatever I can to it. And until then, I don't know what. Just keep reading stuff. Thanks for watching. I know this is a little different than normal. I'll definitely still be posting a video on Thursday, and I'll see you then. Until next time, I'm out of darts.